The room had the comfortable messiness of a family dinner that had been repeated too many times to feel special. Plates mismatched. Glasses half full. Someone's phone buzzing face, down near a napkin. It was the kind of gathering where nothing new was supposed to happen. She noticed her son's posture before she noticed the joke. He had been sitting straight, polite, rehearsed, 12 years old, and already practiced at being unobtrusive. When her brother snorted and said it, casually, with a grin meant to invite agreement, "Your kids aren't going anywhere." The laughter came quickly, reflexively, like a cough moving around the table. Her son didn't laugh. He didn't look up either. His shoulders tightened just enough to be measurable if you were paying attention. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth and hovered there, uncertain, before lowering back to the plate. She saw all of it. What unsettled her wasn't the comment itself. Her brother had always talked that way, confident, teasing, secure in the assumption that his words would be absorbed without consequence. What unsettled her was the quiet acceptance in the room. No pause. No correction. The joke slid neatly into place, unchallenged. Her first instinct was the old one: let it pass. Keep the temperature stable. Don't make the evening about you. Her second instinct followed immediately after, sharper and less negotiable. If you don't respond, this is what your son learns. She didn't look at her brother right away. She looked at her son, stiff there was on his plate, as if there were something there worth studying. She could almost see the calculation forming behind his eyes, the one children make when they decide whether something is worth reacting to or whether silence will keep them safer. She cleared her throat. "Good to know," she said. Her voice was level, conversational, pitched exactly where it would not sound like a challenge. Her brother turned toward her, still smiling, waiting for the punchline. She reached for her phone. "Then I'll cancel the auto payment for your daughter's art school." The sentence wasn't loud. It didn't interrupt anyone mid-syllable. It simply entered the room and changed its shape. Her brother's smile faltered, then reset, then disappeared entirely. "What?" She tapped her screen, unhurried. "The monthly payment. I've been covering it since last year. Automatic withdrawal." She glanced up at him, finally. Didn't want to waste money on kids who aren't going anywhere. The table went quiet in a way that felt physical, like pressure in the ears. Someone shifted in their chair. Someone else took a drink they didn't need. Her mother leaned forward slightly, hands clasped together. "Let's not ruin the mood," she said, softly, as if mood were a fragile object that could shatter if handled incorrectly. That sentence, more than the joke, confirmed something the narrator had known but never fully named. The mood had always mattered more than the damage. Her brother laughed once, sharply. "You're joking." She held up her phone, the screen angled so he could see the bank app open, the familiar payment listed. "No." He stared, recalculating. She could see it happening, the inventory of past assumptions, the sudden awareness that her quiet consistency had been mistaken for compliance. He had never asked her to help with the tuition. He had simply mentioned the difficulty, the expense, the stress. She had offered, once, calmly. He had accepted without ceremony. It had become invisible. Her mother spoke again, a little firmer. "This isn't the time." She nodded. "You're right. It's overdue?" Her thumb hovered, then pressed. The confirmation appeared. A small vibration, a neutral message acknowledging the change. No drama. No warning siren. Just a completed action. Her brother exhaled through his nose, a sound somewhere between disbelief and anger. "You can't just—" "I can," she said. Not defensively, not triumphantly. "And I just did." No one raised their voice. No one stood up. The authority in the moment came not from volume but from finality. The system had already accepted the instruction. There was nothing to argue with now except reality. The conversation stumbled back into motion after that, but it moved differently. Words were chosen more carefully. Laughter, when it returned, sounded tentative, as if people were testing whether it was still allowed. Her son remained quiet, but his posture changed. He sat back slightly, shoulders loosening, eyes lifting just enough to take in the room again. He didn't look at her. He didn't need to. Dinner ended without resolution. There were no apologies offered, no explanations demanded. Coats were put on. Dishes were stacked. Goodbyes were exchanged with a politeness that felt newly formal. In the car driving home, the silence stretched comfortably between them. Streetlights passed in steady intervals. Finally her son spoke. "Was that about what he said?" she answered. He nodded once. Okay. That was all. No speech. No reassurance required. The lesson had already been delivered, not in words but in alignment between what was said and what was done. Later that night, she received a message from her brother. Short. Careful. More logistical than apologetic. Another message from her mother followed, concerned, urging conversation, urging smoothing things over. She didn't respond immediately. She sat at the kitchen table instead, the same one where she had once helped her brother fill out the form at art school. Believing that support moved invisibly and without cost. She understood now that some costs only appear when you stop paying them. The family would adjust, or it wouldn't. The relationships might cool, they might fracture slowly around the edges. None of that felt abstract anymore. What felt solid, quietly, undeniably, was the knowledge that her son would remember this moment, not as a fight, but as a boundary. And that was enough to live with the consequences.